Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. Today, we're going to be talking about leadership power, strengthening your collaborative intelligence, evaluating the structures, systems, and signals of viable collective endeavors. This is Bill Thomas, your host and presenter for today's episode. And as is our custom, we're about to begin our session. So if you bear with me for just a quick skinny second, as they say, I'm going to do our slideshow and get going. Okay, let's see. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. This is Bill Thomas, your host and presenter for today's episode. We have a ton of knowledge to explore in our 14 or so minutes of today's session, so let's get to it. More than 3,500 years ago, when King Solomon built the Lord's temple in Jerusalem, he needed to collaborate with and rely on King Hiram of Sidon to supply and ship the strong timbers, those cedar trees of Lebanon, that Solomon's people required to build that temple structure. Following the execution by crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, 3,000 or so of his followers were blessed with the gift of the promised Holy Spirit and began their collaborative effort of spreading the gospel, the good news of God's manifold grace, gifts of salvation, and everlasting life through mankind's acceptance of and belief in the Lordship of Jesus Christ. And for these last 2,100 years, that good news spreading mission is still being successfully pursued and achieved throughout the world. For various species of ants, bees, and birds, it is completely natural and totally instinctual to operate with a collective, intelligent manner. For any organized human enterprise, we must formulate a foundational set of values, principles, and guidelines to help us form, strengthen, and optimize the full potential of our collective intelligence. As you will continue to see, collective intelligence suggests a group's or team's ability to receive, process, or evaluate, transmit, and distribute information efficiently, elegantly, and effectively. There are some organizations which possess a great amount of collaborative intelligence. For instance, the founders of Whole Foods Markets deliberately started doing business through a structure of values driven collaborations and exceptionally strong relations with the farmers and food producers who supplied the fresh or organically raised goods, with its contractors and other vendors, and of course, their management teams work regularly and closely with the employees and community stakeholders. Whole Foods CEO John Mackey supports the collaboration structure by focusing his team member development tasks on four critical energizing areas: analytical intelligence, or IQ, emotional intelligence, or EQ, systems intelligence, or SYQ, and spiritual intelligence, or SPQ. Derived from the Greek word for putting together, the word system means any group of interrelated elements involved in a collective entity. A system, says Bucky, is a conceivable entity dividing universe into two parts, the inside and outside of the system. Fuller began to see persistent messages of interdependence. He was later to discover the precisely descriptive word synergy, but even without that lexical advantage, a sense of interacting parts increasingly dominated his vision. More like the poets and artists of his generation than the scientist, Buckminster Fuller was drawn to relationships rather than objects. There are no solids, no continuous surfaces, only energy event complexes and relationships. The energizing, those information carrying or informating mechanisms at work within social ecosystems include the processing, communicating, sending and receiving, or transducing and responding, or connecting, signaling, intention, desire, position, symbols, or protocols, filtering or blocking, channeling or controlling, amplifying, attenuating, transforming, or rectifying, translating, or formatting of information. When describing the structure of collectively intelligent networks, Dr. Mark Malonis informs us that structure consists of a discrete set of nodes and a specified set of connections between the nodes, and that we must appreciate that there are the dynamics of the nodal variables, and that the dynamics are controlled by the connection strengths, and this will include the input output rule of the individual nodes. And that finally, we need to understand that the operations of our collaborative network, we will discover that there is learning. In its most general sense, learning describes how the connection strengths and hence the dynamics evolves. In general, there is a separation of timescales between dynamics and learning, where the dynamical processes are much faster than the learning processes. Why are leadership actions systemic? Because, as Buckminster Fuller defines it, all systems consist of four or more points which divides universe into two parts. Here are the group of four interrelated energy events that collectively form the complex of and has a relationship to a leader's action in the universe. The first energy event is an action on. We see this event as being physical in nature and tangibly productive in its effects. The second energy event is an action with. We understand this event as being intellectual in nature and purposely qualitative in its effects. The third energy event is an action for. We accept this event as being spiritual or emotional in nature and motivationally imaginative in its effects. The fourth energy event is an action towards. We perceive this event as being developmental in nature and educationally transformative in its effects. Now, of course, we have been told there are a minimum of four energy events operating in any structural system, so it is possible that many more types of energy events could be at work within a single act of leadership. For example, we could easily employ our imaginations and accept the fact that there could be other, less orderly, nearly destructive, more power absorbing versus power producing types of actions, such as actions against, actions off, actions away, actions from, actions apart, and so on. Peter Drucker said, "A leader's job is to inspire." To inspire means to inform, instruct, incite, influence, inculcate, investigate, intuit, intimate, or more information products. Then send or receive signaling, which shows they understood the meaning and message. They may act, behave, react, or physically do something that proves they understood the other person. And there's screening, which says they understand your meaning and message, where your questionings, conversations, consultations, or confrontations may suggest or reveal they understand you. You do not know what, why, how much, when, where, or who they mean when they say they know. Collaborating leaders perform a service by complying with Durkheim's axiom of social authority and using their service that helps people tell them what they mean, what their ideas are, and why they think the way they do. remembering always that words, numbers, and gestures are just symbols, symptoms, signposts, stories, and signals of reality. You must use Akerlof's law to transmit and receive the signaling, which again shows you that they understood your meaning and message, that they may act, behave, react, or physically do something that proves they understood you, and screening, which says that they understand your meaning and message. However, your questionings, conversations, consultations, or confrontations may suggest or reveal they understand you or that they understand the mission of the group or team. We know that leadership or professional power consists of an ability, skills, strength, or of mental attitude or aptitudes, insightful intuition and imagination, employing any agency of signification can instill or communicate or establish empathy, trust, commitment, meaning, and purpose, credibility, inspiration, and confidence throughout the group or team. The purpose or goals of leadership or professional power is to make inroads towards finding solutions, uncovering problems, discovering new possibilities, or producing improvements in people, processes, products, or shaping innovations in your techniques, usage of time, standards and models of doing things, and technological applications. When your collaborating partners use a system like the CASE model, their power will increase. What's the CASE model? It employs the functions of the comparator, who audits, assesses, or analyzes, the activator, who assumes or delegates the taking of action, the selector, who evaluates or discriminates information relevancy, and the expediter, who facilitates or enables fruitful processes or progressions. Dr. Amy Edmondson explains Bucky Fuller realized that in a universe consisting entirely of fast moving energy, we must ask how something holds its shape. Fuller concluded that structure is defined as a locally regenerative pattern integrity of universe. That's a good starting point. However, structure is also a complex of events interacting to form a stable pattern. Similar, but let's be more specific. The pattern consists of action, not things. Regenerative is an important qualification because of the transient nature of energy. The pattern, not the energy flowing through, has a certain degree of permanence. A structure must therefore be continually regenerating in order to be detected. So then we must accept that structure is local because it is finite. It has a beginning and an end. We cannot have a total structure of universe. And finally, we believe that interacting signifies Bucky Fuller's critically important emphasis on relationships. Perhaps the best form of collaboration is that of joint journey takers. The shared adventure usually results in stronger, longer lasting relationships between colleagues, especially when that journey achieves or attains the summit or objective or realizes the high plateau of wonder and glory. Your projects, developmental programs, and change initiatives can best be approached as a team driven exercise or journey towards something that is better and more worthwhile than your current circumstances or conditions. You had an opportunity to examine the roles and purposes of collectively intelligent systems or how the operational structures which enable your collaborative intelligence and its endeavors make it easy for your teamwork, group based projects, or strategic collaborations to prosper and succeed. In every one of these collective activities, you must empower each individual participant to assume leadership accountability, and commitment to making their best possible effort to achieve and successful outcomes, regardless of the acceptance or adoption of their products by the marketplace or management. As long as each person realizes that deep and valid learning occurred, then the project achieved a measure of success for all future projects. This ends today's lesson. You were looking at a catalog of the materials, training, and coaching support, which are featured in my Leadership Power Paradigms Producer Tools program. You can see that this program is designed to dramatically improve your leadership performances and use your leadership strengths to comprehensively empower the achievements of your people. Right now, this program is available to you at my lowest possible price, so I urge you to visit the webpage at www.one-im.com/LPP tools, or just click on the Enroll and Get Started Now button that you see on the right side of your screen. And if you like what you read on that page, go ahead and get going now. Don't forget, there is my famous no questions asked, no risk to you, money back guarantee for this program, so you really have nothing to lose by enrolling now in this awesome educational program. And while you're clicking on that, by the way, when you click on that enroll and get started now button, what will happen is it will open up a new browser tab, a new browser window for you, so that's not a problem. And it will take you to that page that you can read a little bit later after this, after you finish watching the webinar today. And while you're clicking on that button, and I know that you are, so you can learn more about that program, I'm sending you the links to the two bonus gifts that we have for those of you who are attending today's webinar session. And there they are. The first one is the 5 Leadership Uplifter Tasks infographic. It prints on one sheet of paper, so just download it. It's a PDF document. It prints on one sheet of paper, and it contains the 5 essential tasks and describes them, and sort of keeps you on track as you go through your day, discharging your leadership duties and responsibilities. So as you look through that, you say, oh yeah, okay, I need to be doing this particular type of action now. So it sort of keeps you honest and keeps you on track. Like I said, it's a graphic cheat sheet, if you will. And the second bonus gift is the Words with Wisdom paper. It's 8 pages. It is also a PDF document, just like the infographic is a PDF document. So there's no big deal with that. Just download that and read it on your computer, or read it online, or if you'd like, download it and then print it out. It's only 8 pages long, and that way you can read it, and it contains things like the principles and strategies and tips and some of the techniques that we covered in today's episode of Leadership Power Paradigms, as well as in previous episodes of Leadership Power Paradigms. And as you're looking through that, once again, I will encourage you all to click on the Enroll and Get Started Now button, or to go to that webpage that you saw that was out there, the www.one-im.com/LPP-tools, and take a look through that program. I think you'll find it eminently exciting, and something that can help you to go to the next levels of performances and achievements and results as a leader. That's what we're all about here. I'm just looking at the at the chat area. I don't see any questions or comments, so I will say to those of you watching the webinar replay of this episode, there on the right hand side of the screen, there's also a question box, and if you type in a quick question to me and then press the email us button, it will automatically email your question to me, as well as it will include your name and your email address, because that's what you need it to register for the replay or for the live session. And then if you'd like me to discuss your answer, my answer to your question or your comment, why then you can include your Skype ID if you're located outside of the US or Canada, or even if you are located in the US or Canada. Otherwise, if you're located in the US or Canada, you can include your phone number as well. I will give you a call if you do include your phone number if you're located in the US or Canada, or I will give you a call on Skype if you're located outside of US or Canada, and we can have a nice little conversation there. I usually love to use Skype because that way, if there is a paper or some sort of an article or a report that might give you a deeper or more full answer to your question or comment, why then I can just type in the web page for that, or I can upload it, and that way you can download it as well. So it's a great way to get some free information and a little bit of free guidance, if you will, consulting, if you will, from me. Anyway, so I'm going to say this ends this episode of Leadership Power Paradigms. I thank each and every one of you for joining us today. This is Bill Thomas, your host and presenter. God bless each and every one of you. Godspeed to you all. And I wish you all the very best of success in all of your leadership endeavors. Take care.